Supreme Magus, Web Novel, Chapter 445, Quartz Part 1. As soon as the physical contact was broken, Camilla snapped out of it and hid behind Lith so fast that she almost dropped her wineglass. Count Exalver's surprise intensified when he sent more and more waves of his willpower only for them to crash against Lith's. The mesmerize ability required to make eye and physical contact with the target. It could nudge their will, making them more receptive to friendly advices. It couldn't force anyone to do something they weren't willing to do, though. It could only manipulate someone's feelings, not their nature. In Lith's case, it would have been easier to tilt Smogar's axis than convince him to part from something, or someone, he deemed as his own. This guy must be mad jealous to resist that easily. Well, if the easy way doesn't work, the hard was will. Exalver thought while returning the grip. I don't think you recognize me, dear friend. I'm Count Exalver and I'm a very powerful man. You don't want to have me as your enemy. Watch out, Solus warned Lith. The blood core expenditure is much bigger than before. His life force is now even stronger than yours. For once Solus was happy to not have a body. Otherwise she would have kicked the Count to the curb and blown their cover. Her hate for creeps was only surpassed by that for superpowered creeps. Really? Lith remained unfazed by activating earth and fire fusion to even the field. I think you should reconsider your actions. He let pure mana flow into his left hand, making the runes Kala had gifted him resurface on his palm. Despite their white glow, only Lith and the Count seemed capable of seeing them. According to Kala, they are an introduction letter. If Exalver is involved with the undead community, this should resolve the matter without him making a fuss. Lith thought. If the one controlling the meat puppets is really a necromancer, I can't risk exposing our plan. Sadly, the Count had no idea what they meant. His eyes flared red as a thin black fog formed a small dome around them which seemed to rob its surroundings of light and warmth. Those near to the scene unconsciously stepped away. No one was able to see or hear what was happening inside the fog dome unless they focused really hard on its presence. Camilla had no idea what was happening but she was starting to get scared. I'll ask you one last time. Let the lady come with me and I'll make it worth her while. At that point, the Count couldn't care less about Camilla. It had become a matter of power. He couldn't stand the idea of a lesser man disrespecting him. Not now that he had finally obtained the invincible power he had always dreamt about. His killing intent filled the dome, adding mental pressure to the physical one. Lith was tired of playing nice. Instead of replying, he activated invigoration, which allowed him to detect that there were two different kinds of blood flowing inside Exalver's veins. One was abundant, weak, and held less magical power than Lith's dirty laundry. The other was thin and of unknown origin, but it carried enough mana to make a mouse as dangerous as a tiger. Lith released small pulses of darkness magic that destroyed the undead blood coursing through his opponent's veins. Despite feeling weak, Exalver refused to budge and kept pumping more and more power until his blood core was on the verge of collapsing. Peace, brother. Please, forgive my vassal. He's still unaware of the protocols among our kin. Another man stepped forward, so fast that Lith didn't even notice his appearance until it was too late. He was around 60 years old, barely 1.72 meters, 5 feet 8 inches, tall, with silver hair and goatee. His silver-rimmed monocle couldn't hide the red glow from his eyes as he grabbed Lith's wrist with enough strength to force him to let go of the Count. He had a bright blood core empowered by centuries of experience and abundant feeding. The man had gentle features and a warm smile, but in his eyes Lith saw a beast ready to attack. You can call me Kalarn, I'm. The newcomer only needed a second to understand that Lith was one of the living. Kalarn's pretense of kindness disappeared, replaced by a feral snarl as a second fog dome covered the scene. What's a dog of the Dawn Court doing here? Who's your master? He asked while his iron grip turned into a vice. Kalarn released enough killing intent that Camilla almost forgot how to breathe. Lith was stuck into place. His wrist kept cracking and healing almost at the same time thanks to light fusion. He felt an immense pressure coming from the small man in front of him, with a force that closely reminded him of Scarlet the Scorpicore. Yet he refused to yield. He was stronger than 4 years ago and had learned many new tricks. He countered the killing intent by releasing his own while at the same time releasing a strong pulse of darkness magic that forced the undead to release his grip. The pain was so intense that Kalarn growled in pain, bearing for a split-second canine teeth too long to be human. I was enjoying my evening, like everybody else, until your Renfield here bothered me and my companion. Lith had no idea what the Dawn Court was, nor what vampire protocols might require. So he decided to bluff his way out by confusing his opponent as much as he was. Kalarn was indeed confused. He had never heard the term Renfield, but he was certain it had to be an insult. My name is Scourge. He used his code word for help while activating his communication earpiece with spirit magic. Kala the White sent me here. As soon as she heard Lith's safe word, Journey tried to locate him in Camilla. The ballroom was reduced to a blur like she was looking through a distorting glass. Only her focus and training allowed her to see through the fog. If I don't hear from you within a minute, I'll send the reinforcements, she said. Kalarn snarled again. His enhanced senses allowed him to hear Journey's voice, but once again he had no idea who she was or what she was talking about. I never heard of this, Kala. He refused to back down to a human in his own turf, but Kalarn hadn't survived for so long by being stupid. Just like I never heard about you. Lith had noticed that the vampire had lost part of his edge right after Journey's message. There are too many people around us. I doubt he wants to fight at all costs. Time to raise the ante. Lith thought while powering up Kala's runes again. These are my references. If you want to offend the Dawn Court for that lustful idiot, be my guest. Camilla felt like she was spectating two strong currents clashing against each other, each wave stronger than the previous one. Kalarn was amazed by the amount of killing intent Lith was releasing. Amazed and intrigued. Let's go, Exalver. We're done here, he said when the minute was almost over in the fog dome, unable to hide the pressure they exerted. I don't care who you are, he said to Lith as parting words. Mess with the Night Court's plans and I'll make you pay. Then when he noticed Exalver's idiotic grin, he added. Right after disposing of you for forcing my hand. Exalver grin disappeared, and not even his makeup could hide his pallor anymore.